All right, today we are going on a journey, not with a spaceship, but with something a lot smaller, something you can hold in your hand. We're going to dive deep right into the heart of giant planets by recreating their insane pressures right here on Earth. Welcome to the Cosmic Nutcracker.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you could literally hold the core of Jupiter in your hand? It sounds like pure science fiction, right? Because let's be real. Any probe we send there would be crushed and vaporized in an instant. The pressure is just unimaginable.
Yeah, for the longest time, the cores of places like Jupiter and Saturn, not to mention the ice giants way out there, were just total mysteries. They're locked behind thousands of miles of atmosphere that would just pulverize anything we sent. So scientists knew, okay, if we can't go to the planet, we have to find a way to bring the planet to us.
And the answer wasn't some new billion-dollar rocket. Nope. The answer was waiting in a lab, in Illinois of all places, at a facility called HPCAT, and it all boils down to one absolutely incredible piece of tech. So, let's meet the hero of our story, the Diamond Anvil Cell, or DAC. And get this, it's a handheld device. This tiny thing is the ultimate cosmic nutcracker. It's an absolutely mind-blowing piece of engineering that uses two perfect diamonds, the hardest stuff we know of, to create pressures stronger than the very center of our own planet.
So how does this little thing create so much power? Well, its secret isn't brute force, it's focus. It all comes down to a simple idea. Pressure is just force over area. Think about it like this, right? An elephant standing on its big flat foot. The pressure's pretty spread out, but put that same elephant on the teeny tiny tip of a stiletto heel, ouch. The pressure becomes absolutely immense. That's exactly what the DAC does. It takes a manageable force and concentrates it all onto the microscopic tip of a diamond.
And if you really want a crazy visual for this, the pressure inside this device is like taking 100 full-grown elephants and stacking them all on the very tip of a ballpoint pen. It's just astronomical. And all of this is happening on a scale smaller than a single grain of salt. It's wild.
Okay, so squeezing stuff is one thing, but that's only half the battle, right? I mean, it's cool to crush a sample, but how do you actually see what's going on in there? How do you watch the atoms themselves rearrange into some totally new kind of matter? You need a window that can survive that kind of pressure.
And this is where using diamonds is just genius. See, they're not just strong, they're also perfectly clear. They're transparent. So they don't just provide the pressure, they act as these indestructible little windows, letting scientists look right into the experiment as it's getting squeezed with the force of a planet's core. So here's how it all comes together at the lab. First, you take a microscopic sample, tiny, and you load it between the diamonds. Then you crank up the pressure, a lot. Next, you fire an unbelievably powerful X-ray beam right through the diamonds in the sample. We're talking millions of times brighter than a medical X-ray. As those X-rays punch through, they bounce off the atoms inside, and that pattern tells you exactly how the atoms are arranged. You're literally watching its structure change in real time.
And what you get from all this? Well, it's pretty much modern-day alchemy. You get to forge materials that literally do not exist anywhere on Earth. We're talking about creating the alien building blocks of planets right here in a lab. It's incredible.
Let's take hydrogen, for example. We all know hydrogen, right? It's the lightest, most basic gas there is. But put it inside the Diamond Anvil Cell and just squeeze. Squeeze it with millions of times our atmospheric pressure, and something amazing happens. It transforms. It becomes a shiny liquid metal. A metal that can conduct electricity. And this isn't just a party trick. This is the exact stuff that scientists think is powering the massive magnetic fields of planets like Jupiter and Saturn.
The pressure is just so intense that it forces the hydrogen atoms to get cozy. So cozy that their electrons just pop off and start flowing freely, just like they do in a copper wire. It's a fundamental change of state. You're literally squishing a cloud of gas until it becomes a piece of metal.
But believe it or not, metallic hydrogen isn't even the weirdest thing this machine can make. To understand the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune, we have to ask an even crazier question. A question that sounds completely impossible. Can you make ice that is hotter than the surface of the sun?
Well, the answer is yes, you absolutely can. And it just goes to show you how bizarre matter can get when you push it to its limits. In the DAC, scientists created something called super-ionic ice. Now, get your head around this. In this stuff, the oxygen atoms freeze into a solid crystal lattice, like normal ice. But the hydrogen atoms, they don't freeze. They flow through that crystal grid like a liquid. So it's a solid and a liquid at the same time. Oh, and it's black, conducts electricity, and yeah, it's hotter than the sun.
Okay, but if that didn't blow your mind, maybe this will. Because one of the most spectacular things to come out of all this research was proof of a theory that sounds like it's straight out of a fantasy novel. The idea that deep inside these planets, their atmospheres are basically giant jewelry factories.
Yep, they actually did it. Scientists at the lab basically followed a recipe. They took methane gas, the main ingredient, they squeezed it under the same insane pressures you'd find deep inside Neptune, and they just watched. And what happened? The pressure ripped the methane apart, and the carbon atoms inside started crystallizing into actual tiny, pure diamonds. They proved it. On planets like Neptune and Uranus, it literally rains diamonds.
So why does all this matter? I mean, besides being incredibly cool. Well, by doing this, we're figuring out the absolute fundamentals of how planets are built. We're understanding how they create magnetic fields, which, by the way, are super important for protecting life. That's a huge clue in our search for habitable planets out there. And of course, we're stumbling upon entirely new materials with properties we couldn't have even dreamed of. It's a whole new frontier.
And I think that brings us to the most incredible takeaway from all of this. We can't send a probe to the core of Jupiter, not yet anyway. But thanks to some clever thinking and 2 little diamonds in a lab, we don't have to. We can bring those alien worlds and all their secrets right here and hold them on a tabletop.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We've already created metallic hydrogen, super-ionic ice, and diamond rain. What other impossible materials, what other cosmic secrets are just sitting out there waiting for us to figure out how to squeeze just a little bit harder?